I can't thank you people enough for all the support you've been showing me on my AU videos, and I've been trying to get more than 2 out a week, but I edit all my videos and as you can see, it's a difficult task. But who cares about me? Because right now, this story takes place in the world of One Piece, which keep in mind is an anime and manga about a boy named Luffy who wants to become the king of all pirates by finding the legendary treasure known as the One Piece. And he sails across a massive world full of wild islands, powerful enemies, and strange abilities, all while building his own pirate crew known as the Straw Hat Pirates. But this adventurous story takes a dark turn when a handsome man, as they described, was walking down a trail, starving, and then noticed a fruit that caught his eye, a devil fruit called Chuma Chuma, a deadly fruit not only unfit for consumption, but for mankind itself. They even say it smells and tastes sweet, and unlike other devil fruits, they have a horrible stench and taste. But this one also acts on its own, devouring its victim and spreading a poisonous gas, causing a worldwide plague, causing a domino effect to if one person gets it, it'll spread from one living thing to another, then from island to island, dooming the world unless someone can cure it. So starting off, they show us some of the character profiles of the Straw Hat crew, starting with Luffy, who's the captain, showing us only the level of his hunger, health, and sanity. It's also noted that he's not infected, but most importantly, one of his crewmates named Chopper has passed away. And we don't know why yet, but one of Luffy's crewmates actually threatened that he's gonna be next if he eats all their food again because they're basically in a pandemic right now and they can't afford that. Which makes sense because Luffy's known in the series as a big back with no drawback. Zoro, on the other hand, is doing alright. He's pretty hungry, but other than that, he's pretty healthy and also has his sanity. But unfortunately, he is infected and he's in the stage 1, which we'll learn more about the stages in a moment. And he got infected in Syrup Village where he was fighting the Black Cat Pirates, which lets us know that this AU takes place very early in One Piece. And we actually have information on the leader of that Black Cat crew named Kuro, who actually left before the plague even started, knowing full well about it, never warning anybody. Not even his own crew, and in the show, Kuro wants to live a wealthy, retired life away from the pirate world. So he planned on marrying this very wealthy woman from Syrup Village, while secretly planning to have his crew attack them one day randomly and unalive her, leaving him with all of her wealth. Which is the day Luffy and his crew stopped them, but unfortunately the day not only Zoro was infected, but Usopp as well. As you can see, he's doing nowhere near well. His hunger, sanity, and health are extremely low. He's grown a tail and his spine is spiking out with animal-like legs, and he even has these same spores popping out of his face like Zoro. With his spider-like form, he is in stage 4 of the infection, and he's even discarded the lower part of his body, throwing it in a random place in his room like some pants he doesn't want to wear. Luckily, the Straw Hats still recruited him while he was infected and also are working to cure him as well. Which brings us to Nami, who's actually doing very well and is even wearing a mask to kind of protect herself from the virus as it is airborne. But she's actually one of the main doctors of the crew and is working on Usopp to try to test and find a cure. Nico Robin is also working with Nami to make vaccines and a cure to slow down and stop the virus. She's also infected too, but interestingly enough, her infection has actually made her stronger. She has this ability where she's able to project herself and a bunch of hands out of her, and basically the infection allows them to be sharper and stronger. Which brings us to another one of their crewmates who's infected, which is Brook, which ironically is kinda crazy cause he's a skeleton. Which is the whole gag of his character because he's already dead and something like this would kill him, but he's already dead. It's also noted that he has been having hallucinations and dreams, and he doesn't believe the whole story and how the virus started, and believes actually the plague has been around ever since he was alive still. Sanji is one sanity away from a mental hospital, and it's noted that after the dinner incident, he's been blaming himself for the death of a crewmate. Sanji is one of the best cooks in the One Piece universe, and he loves cooking, so it makes you wonder what turned him into a psychopath at the dinner incident to where the crewmates don't even trust him. Which brings us to the night the incident happened.
Hey Sanji, do you need my help?
You freak, do you want us all to starve to death here?
Calm down, Zoro. I'm doing the best I can.
Be patient a little longer. We'll find food soon. We have no other choice. Then sooner or later, it has to happen. I don't want to see you suffer because of hunger, so I'm sure I've decided to do it. Do it. Then you'll thank me. As for me, I did my duty. Good luck on your journey.
Sadly, Chopper got chopped and sacrificed himself for his starving crew members. Half of the animals were infected and too dangerous to eat. Sadly, Usopp did what he had to do, and Sanji served him to the whole crew. And let's just say Sanji wasn't the same man after that night. Now, before we continue, there are 7 stages of this virus that you need to know. In stage 1, the body begins to grow the small orange lumps we've been seeing, with the person feeling fatigued and having small headaches with nausea. In stage 2, the virus makes dark spots, with vines growing inside of your bones. With vines spreading in and out of their body, the victim then begins to feel more tired and gets their first signs of mental trauma. By stage 3, the orange fungus becomes even more enlarged, with the roots becoming bigger and stronger. The vines could even travel and stab through their eyes. And even though their scent begins to smell a lot sweeter, their psychological state starts to deteriorate even more. Through stages 4 and 5, here mutation starts to begin, starting with deformation in your bones and body. The victim's barely able to move and widely comparable to an insect. And after losing their eyesight, they go through stages 6 and 7. All parts that resembled a human are completely gone, along with that faint sweet smell. Now it's unbearable to even inhale, and you won't move on to stage 7 unless you have the will. Then it goes on to give us an explanation on what the virus does and how it affects everyone differently. And basically all you need to know is that the infection can make them stronger and enhance their abilities, but can also make them weaker physically and most importantly, mentally. Also, there are a lot of devil fruits that can counter the virus, and then there's people that have the direct weakness, which is heat, like a Kainu, who can simply just burn the virus, making it ineffective towards him. And the stronger the haki you have, the stronger you are able to fight off the virus. Which brings us to Crocodile, who's not doing so well because he's infected. He read that there is no cure for it, but he still believes there is, which is why he has Dr. Kuroha locked up against her will with a black eye, finding a cure to his infection. He's also described to have a severe anger management problem that is so bad that whoever comes across him could randomly end up dead. And has Mr. 3, also known as Galdino, who's doing amazingly well, watching over her to make sure she doesn't do anything funny. Arlong is said to be infected along with all of the other fishermen, with him being the first. He's gotten way more aggressive, a lot stronger, and doesn't really care about the infection anyways. Surprisingly enough, Soj King shows up, which is an alter ego of Usopp. Known by the name of Sniper King as well, this alter ego version of Usopp is portrayed as a brave and more confident hero, solely created to distance himself from Usopp's own emotional pain. The mask basically allows him to act more fearless and courageous, and sadly, if you couldn't tell by the fake paper overlay, he's still infected, and this is mostly just a coping mechanism at this point, and makes him feel better in his head, basically hiding himself from the real situation. And we're even shown a scene in his head where Sniper King is looking at him, and he's asking, "What do you want, Sniper King? Why are you bothering me every day?" Basically telling him, it's time to face reality. You need to wake up. For anyone wondering what Buggy the Clown has been up to, he's doing just fine and actually isn't taking this serious at all. He's also confirmed to be married to Alvida at the moment, which has been a long fan theory within the series, as they're kinda hinted that something has happened or is going on between them. But good thing is she is immune to the virus due to her devil fruit and how slippery it makes her. Kobe and Helmapo are looking disgusting. They've even kinda fused together in each other's body now for some reason, and are even confirmed missing. Mary unfortunately passed away and he was infected as well, looking horrible, but he'll always be remembered as the guy that the Straw Hats named their pirate ship after, which was Going Merry. Kaya from Syrup Village had a tragic ending as well and ended up taking her own life. And it's said that at one point Usopp was sending her letters while he was infected and didn't even know she was gone. Anyways, she was treating Mary, and unfortunately, of course, he passed away, which made her mental state go down and led to her taking her own life. Also, keep in mind, she was the one that put him out of his misery. Continuing on, Ace, who's Luffy's older brother, isn't infected because he has the flame fruit, and like I said before, he is a direct counter to the virus. But he doesn't like having the powers currently because he's always asked to use them to get rid of the virus on other people. Mihawk, who's my personal favorite character, doesn't seem to be buying the stories about how the virus actually started and believes the government had something to do with it and is looking for that island and any more information about the virus. Now in the show, Mihawk has had a long rival with a very popular character named Red-Haired Shanks. Now the rival has since ended since he lost his arm, but he's doing fairly well in everything but sanity. Shanks even owns his own crew, but it says that he's so unstable that actually he's just been replaced by Usopp, who's Usopp's dad. The problem is Shanks knows something everyone else doesn't know. And when Buggy confronts him on what he's been mumbling and talking about, he told him that nobody needs to know because they're not going to be able to stop it. And Buggy's like, bullcrap, we can tell the world government, we can stop this immediately. But Shanks is like, no, something's coming that will bring even the strongest to their knees, and you're all not ready for darkness. And Buggy punches him in the face when he tells him just to wait around and die, and tells him you're just a liar and a weak pirate. And Shanks says, what did you say? You don't know if I'm lying or not. You don't know me. And Buggy says, yeah, I did know you. You were my best friend, but I don't know what you turned into. That's when Shanks puts his hand on his sword and says, you need to leave or else. And Shanks watches as he leaves. And later on that week, Shanks spiraled even more out of control. Everyone on his crew, including his replacement Usopp, who is now the captain, wanted to know everything he's talking about and what he's seeing. Keep in mind, Usopp at this time is torching all of the infected he sees with no type of remorse, which makes me wonder what would happen if he were to see his son in his condition. But anyways, Usopp asks Shanks, are you having hallucinations? Like, what's going on? Because it looks like this plague is kind of getting too much to your head. And then Shanks sits back and hesitates and then tells him what's actually going on, telling him how he's been having dreams about the future and how there's no hope. And he doesn't know exactly what's coming, but he knows it's gonna doom everybody and nobody's gonna believe him. Then Usopp says, then why are you smiling? What's so funny about all of this then? And Shanks says, I'm smiling because I know I'm right. and that's what I'm gonna be doing when you guys finally realize that I was right and it's too late. And that's when Mihawk walks in, because he's gotten word that Shanks has been acting weird. One interesting thing about Mihawk in this scene is that he's wearing a mask that's from the actual plague that people used to wear to protect themselves, which I thought was pretty neat. Now, when Mihawk steps in, he gets right down to business and asks, "Are you joking about all of this? Is this all real?" And then tells him to write down on a paper who he thinks is the one behind all of this. When Mihawk looks at the paper, we're not able to see it, but he looks at Shanks and says, "Are you sure this is the one?" And he says, "Yes, I know it for certain." Mihawk, after seeing what's on the paper and also listening to Shanks even more after, still believes that the government is able to handle the situation, but Shanks literally says, "You don't believe me still? Are you crazy?" But Mihawk tells him, "Get some sleep and stop talking nonsense. You'll be better tomorrow." And when Usopp asks Shanks if everything's all right, Shanks turns to him, letting him know instantly that nothing's all right. But then Usopp reassures to him that if something is to come, that he will be by his side to fight it. And that actually calms down Shanks and brings him back to normal. Meanwhile in the story, Mr. 2 is doing perfectly fine. And before I go into detail on what's about to happen, just know that this character has done a lot of things for the Straw Hat crew when it comes to sacrificing himself specifically. They're an amazing ally and just go over the top to help the Straw Hats in multiple occasions, and has the power to clone themselves, by the way. So eventually they run into Nami, and Nami's like, "Hey, I want you to do a favor for me," and tells him that Sanji will die if you can't do this. So Mr. 2's like, "What is it? You trying to set me up again?" And Nami's like, No, there's a misunderstanding here. I'll tell you everything you need to know. It's probably better if you sit down before I tell you everything though." And then she tells her that back in Alabasta, they went 2 months without eating because of what Luffy did. He ate all their food. And Chopper decided to sacrifice himself, and the sanity of Sanji went downhill from there. Sanji's been sad, angry, and empty since. Can you stay on the ship disguised as Chopper? This instantly sets Bon Clay, also known as Mr. 2, off and completely goes in on her. And then instantly switches up and says, "Yeah, I'll help." After, Mr. 2's a little bit worried that Sanji might catch on, but Nami's willing to help the whole time because if Sanji does find out, he'll have both of their heads. And Mr. 2 goes on and learns how to be Chopper and also a nurse. And the way they tricked Sanji into bringing Chopper back was basically going off the saying in One Piece where if you die, you go to the sky. Sanji breaks down in tears, crying, and hugs Chopper like he's never hugged him before. And the whole time, Bon Clay is thinking, "Man, if Sanji finds out, we're all cooked, but I gotta do this for them." More profiles are shown, with most notably being Gecko Moria, who's actually using the plague to their advantage and building an army of zombies, which the infected are referred to in this AU a lot. Gecko can create zombies and also control the shadows of whoever he wants, so this makes sense. Persona's surprisingly infected, even though they do have the ability to turn into a ghost, which kind of weirds me out, but she'll still have control over her mind throughout all the stages. It's just that her body's literally cooked. Porsche is looking hideous. The scariest one by far. Oh my gosh. They're said to be on stage 6, basically a walking corpse and could die at any point, being on the edge of death. She breathes poorly, thinks poorly, moves poorly, nothing can save her, and whenever she tries to talk, she sounds like a horse crying. Other ones I thought that were pretty disgusting was Kaku in his giraffe form. This form is notoriously used against Zoro a couple times in fights, but basically he's able to stretch himself at long distances. But now, because of his infection, whenever he enters this form, his neck is corroded. With a decaying neck and holes exposing his insides, it's said that he's actually mute when he's in this form, unable to talk, which is even scarier. Spandam is in the worst stage of the infection and is completely feral, very aggressive, and has been trapped in a special room by the Marines. Now, Rob Lucy is also on stage 5, so his whole crew has been infected for a long time, and if you haven't noticed, you have to really zoom in to really notice that he's infected. But under his clothes, there are a lot of roots and spots that you don't want to see, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, making anybody who looks at it instantly want to itch. And in his hybrid form, he looks like a moldy donut with exposed organs. Now, we've probably gotten to a part where a lot of you guys have been waiting for, anticipating on finding out what are the Admirals up to. The Admirals are amongst the strongest characters in the series, and basically they serve the world government. Their jobs, of course, are to enforce justice and maintain order across the sea, which of course runs them trouble against the pirates, who steal, drink, and cause a lot of trouble and of course need to be put in check. Which brings us to Monkey D. Garp. He's doing amazing, he's got his mask on, and he's actually made a special purification squad that is tasked to saving the world. They're tasked with sometimes treating, but also sometimes exterminating the infected, and if they ever were to find a cure, no matter if they're a pirate or a civilian, they will be sent to school and will learn how to be a Marine. Akainu, of course, like I said before, has a complete and utter counter to the infection and is doing just fine. But something interesting is revealed with his character profile. He has his own secret special infected squad, way different from Monkey D. Garp's, which they go around and use the plague to infect pirates. This scheme is solely meant to make the pirates look bad and push an agenda. They're just trying to get rid of the pirates, and this may confirm that the government either made the plague or are just using it. Kizaru is completely overpowered in this AU, and there's not really much to say about him, especially for someone that can literally particleize himself into pieces of light. But sadly, the Admiral in the worst state right now is Aokiji. He's written down a lot of stuff. Maybe some of you in the comments can figure this out of what he was saying, but he's basically frozen himself to stop himself from succumbing to the virus, or maybe from something else, but it seems like he doesn't agree with the government's use of power, and thinks that they're all being too greedy and that no one should be that strong. This makes sense because in the manga, he does have his disagreements with the government and even leaves them and has a fight with Akainu as well. Here's some other character profiles for you guys if you were wondering what's happening with them, but other than that, but make sure to subscribe to not miss out on the next part and hit that bell to be notified right away. Don't forget to recommend me more videos, and God bless you people. Peace.